Hey guys, this is Percy Conley with CalCity.ca. This is my Audi Q7. I'm having an issue with a lean, a PO2187 and a PO2189, and just recently I've been getting PO501A, I think the number is. I'll put it on the screen here. So it is a leaky manifold in the intake manifold. I don't have anything set up here, but it's in the vacuum piece here. The diaphragm, the vacuum diaphragm. It is deep inside the engine, and I'm going to change it out today. This is like a $150 part, but they say 5 to 7 hours. One of the guys on YouTube said he did it in 3 or 4. I'll let you know what a non-mechanic does in this episode. So looking at the engine, triple square bolts. The issue that I see, or I find that I have, is that there's a pinhole right here. If I cover that, I can make the engine stall. So that tells me that that vacuum diaphragm is no bueno. So I'm just gonna start off. I'm gonna start pulling off the coil packs and the spark plugs. We'll see how that goes. So I'm about to undo the throttle body. It's a T30, not a triple square. So I did the intake hose and then a couple of other vacuum lines. It's pretty simple. 4 screws took out the... So 4 screws got the throttle body off. Looking back into the back of the valve cover here, it does look pretty oily, so it looks like it was leaking. There's a better shot right there of that little vent hole that will whistle when your car is acting up. So I'm going to undo this hose here, then make sure all of my vacuum lines are off on the front, undo some of these clamps that hold on the intake on this side. Then I'm going to start taking out the coil packs. Dang, so I got the first one out of the coil packs. The second one broke the tab off. Third one broke the tab off, and I actually pulled the whole dang coil pack out. So I have to figure out how to lift this. It clicks and it's supposed to release. You can see it releasing down there, but it still won't come off. So I'm going to try that again, lift it with my thumb. I have a plastic scoop for an interior trim. I can get that underneath to lift on the other ones, and then pry to get the connector off. Pain in the butt. All the plug coil packs out. I think I might wait until I can lift it up to actually get it in there to pinch off the rest of the coil pack. I'm going to go around to the other side. I'm filming with the GoPro to kind of get the bolts on the other side that I have to undo. So on this side we have the fuel rail, and then in here we got 1, 2, 3, and then some at the bottom, and then there's some screws that are a Phillips head right down there that I have to take out. I think then I can undo the fuel rail itself right back here and get this thing apart. I already undid the screw for the dipstick tube. Oh my gosh, what a pain in the butt. These here are not too bad. The T20 or the T30. There's one at the front right there, and there isn't one in the same spot at the back. So you have to undo the 2 or the 3 larger ones, which are kind of, these are the hardest ones that I think they were talking about on other videos. These are the triple square big boy. Can't remember the number of it. I think it's a 40. I used my pickle fork to reach down and push down there's a vacuum line here, and then there's some other vacuum lines that get bolted to the bottom. They're a T25. You have to reach up from the bottom to get them, and then pull it down and then undo the big ones. I'm looking at it. I don't think you have to undo the fuel rail because my tool doesn't fit in there anyway. So I'm just gonna, I don't know how to take this part off. So I just unclipped the wiring harness. It's taped at the back, so I'm just gonna cut that. And then I think my intake is ready to come off. Yes, there is a lower fuel rail that has to come off. As you can see, this big silver bung, that's a lower fuel rail. It's hard to see in here, but yeah, I have to undo that fuel rail to get this out. And I'm not sure which one it is, but I'll undo both of them here. So that was a pain in the butt. I had to undo this fuel line right here so I could get this fuel rail back enough to pull the intake off. So it is snug as a bug. This injector is actually popped loose, so I have to reseat that before I put it all back together. This fuel rail can't come undone from the top. It's got to stay in place. It's going to be a pain to get this piece back up and done up. So I'm going to see if I can figure out an easier way to get in there. It's pretty tight fit. I have to use a short 14 to get in there. So I am right now going to take off the valve cover, replace that, and torque it back down. I'm going to blow it off first. Just pulled off the old valve cover. Every time you wiggle it, the screws kind of reattach, so like a half a thread, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to remove. I have the new one here. This is where the PCV valve is, or the diaphragm. I don't know why they didn't make that accessible from the top, but that would be a whole lot nicer because all of this work to get to it. Anyway, I'm into it for about 2.5 hours. I'm about to start bolting it back together. The time now is about 2:30, so I'll let you know when I'm done. Well, you'll see some more of my progress here. One thing I figured out here on the reinstall, it was really hard to reach this 14 mil here. If you can see it in my... So to try to get this lined up again, I just took off the upper one. This allows me to have a bit more wrench movement on the lower. So this one I have easier access. So I'm just going to remove that one for now. So then when I put the intake back on, I will be able to shimmy this one up and get it started, because it has to be kind of loose to get the intake in. So we will see how it goes. This had to be pushed down quite a bit, and that's what pulled this. This has to be pushed down quite a bit. That's what pulled this out. And I don't think having this plug unplugged buys me anything. This injector unplugged. It's so tight in there afterwards. I'm just going to leave it plugged in and work around it. So I spent the better part of an hour trying to wrangle the intake and that bottom fuel rail in. I have the rail lined up, but I'm trying to do the bolt up. All right, you guys, this is a hard job. I just spent an hour trying to get that bolt started, that one, and then the next one. They are a pain in the butt. I even just had the top ones loose to try to get everything lined up. Super difficult, as well as the fuel line. Just undo the one that you need, the one that I undid that I said earlier. Don't do that. That is also a pain to do up. Absolutely terrible. I also undid one of the fuel injectors to make it easier. That thing is really hard to plug back in, so don't do it. I'm making sure it's plugged back in. I'm going to put the screws in the bottom of this right now, and then the screw for the dipstick. I put it all back together before noticing I didn't put the coil packs in, but they do fit in through the top. And then you don't want to break anything. I broke this hose. It's a major vacuum line. So I'll have to order this. I don't know if I could get just this piece and put it on. I'm going to tape it for now, and I should be able to make it work. But when I was wrestling around with the intake, I broke that. So literally 6 bolts, hour and a half. So frustrating. So I just finished buttoning it back up. It's the reverse of what everything else was. The front end all goes together pretty easy. Like the fuel injection, the throttle body, the airbox, all that goes on very easy. The hard stuff is what I've videoed there. And that is brutal. If you can pay someone relatively cheap amount to do it, pay them, because it is not worth it. It is now, I started at 11 o'clock and it's now 6 o'clock. So it took me 7 hours, spent 2 hours messing around with bolts. This one here is not going on very good. So I might have to heat it up or something, make it work, but I'm going to try starting it right now and see how she goes. It just clipped in. My tensioner pulley here seems to be making a little bit of noise. I'm going to take it for a little drive, see how it goes. Here's the next day. I'm going to pull off the PCV valve cover here to see. It's right in this area here. See how bad it is. it looks like. This is the vent for the little hole. I don't know how this part comes a piece. So if we look closely here, crack, crack, crack. It's blackened in here. There shouldn't be any discoloration on the opposite side. So that was a source of a vacuum leak. It looked like it was leaking more and more over the last little bit. So I'm glad I changed it out, but it was a huge undertaking, a lot more than I thought that it would take. Again, it took me over 6 hours, and some guys on YouTube said it took them under 4. They must have all the right parts and have done it before, because personally, I'm a handy kind of guy, and this was a very big job, and I wish I didn't start it, but I'm glad I got it done.